Welcome to the Farmington Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to start off with introducing the Zoning Board of Appeals members. I'm way to my left. Jody Bennix, Todd Ruthven. I'm Tom York. I'd like to introduce town staff, Ron Brand, Director of Development, Dan Del Pure, Code Officer, Paula Ruthven, our Clerk of the Board. Close. We have two emergency exits, one that you guys came in and one to your right. This meeting will be conducted according to the rules and procedures of the Zoning Board of Appeals adopted on January 22nd, 2024. I'd like to have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Todd, the motion. There was a legal notice published on March 17th, 2024 for tonight's agenda. ZB 0301-24 Family Trust. ZB 0302-24 Evan Van Epps, CO Brickwood Management, and ZB 0303-24 through 0307-24 Pintail Crossing LLC. Okay. Before we get started, public hearing, I want to announce that the ZB 0301-23 Fowler applicant withdrew the application after it was noticed, but before the meeting. And as a result of the withdrawal, there is no continued public hearing because there is no longer an application. Okay. So now I'd like to open the public hearings. And the first one would be ZB 0301-24 Fowler Family Trust, 6176 Hunters Drive, Farmington, New York, 14425. The applicant is requesting an area variance to the provisions contained within Chapter 165, Schedule 1, Attachment 1 of the Farmington Town Code. The applicant wishes to create a third lot to be known as Lot R5-C. It would have a minimum lot width of 22 feet. Town Code requires a minimum lot width of 125 feet. Proposed lot would be part of a proposed re-subdivision of lot number R5-A. The tax ID number 29.13-1-5100 and lot R5-B, the tax ID 29.13-1-5.200 for the Pheasant Crossing subdivision. These three proposed lots would be located along the west side of Pheasant Crossing and within the Pheasant Crossing subdivision tract. All lots are zoned RS25 residential suburban. Here to speak on behalf of that.
Good evening, Jared Hurt with Evans Fox on behalf of the applicant.
Okay. Address?
Address is 100 Meridian Center Boulevard, Suite 300, Rochester, New York, 14618.
Okay, the floor is yours.
We understand we're here tonight. There are a total of 3 proposed resolutions. Tonight we're looking for one for the ZBA to approve the appointment of the planning board as the designated lead agency. 2, we're looking for a resolution allowing the Farmington Planning Board to provide a written recommendation concerning the requested area variance. And obviously we believe this is sit down for a public hearing, but we're still waiting for comments from the county, as I understand it, which are due, I believe, tomorrow. So we'd ask that the public hearing be adjourned.
staff comments?
I think Mr. Hurt has summed up the actions before this board tonight. The resubmission of a new application follows the same process that was followed previously for the one that was withdrawn. The planning board has again classified it unlisted, asked to have a coordinated review and asked to be designated lead agency. The one resolution tonight is that you agree with that request to be designated lead agency. And the planning board intends to do so at their meeting on April 3rd. At their meeting on April 3rd, they will direct staff to prepare drafts of parts 2 and 3 of the environmental record for their consideration at their meeting on April 17th. Assuming that they make a secret determination and some action on the requested variances to give you a recommendation, you should be good to go at your meeting at the end of April, the 22nd, I believe it is, that your next meeting. We have 5 meetings and 5 Mondays in April, so 22nd is the 4th. With that, it is a public hearing tonight, and we're ready to answer any questions that you may have for us.
Dan?
I concur with what Ron said.
Comments from the public? There. Here, no.
I'm sorry, so this is,
Yeah, this is your public.
this is our chance to respond.
Yes.
And
Public
then are we
hearing.
gonna have more opportunities, or is this it?
No, the public hearing will be continued.
Okay,
You know, there'll be another spot you can speak at this, and then we'll go through the rest of this, and
all right.
we'll have the planning board, there'll be,
If you go ahead, just take a couple minutes.
sure, could you state your
So
name and
again,
address, please?
My name is Greg Coon. I live at 6250 Falcons Crossing, in the lot adjacent to where all this is happening. And I would just voice the same concerns that I voiced before. I think the entire neighborhood has the same thought, that this will, by dividing this lot into 3 lots, change the layout of the neighborhood, have some effect on how the neighborhood is, our property values, everything we've already talked about before. The 22-foot front, I believe it was considered a flagpole, so you change it from being a flagpole lot, which was part of the problem before. But it's not really changing anything out of the 22-foot front, I believe, which I'm assuming is for a driveway. I'm assuming pictures or anything. For a driveway going to the 3rd lot, it's still a small lot divided by 2 lots. The other 2 lots up top should be significantly smaller than the lots that are already in the neighborhood. And again, that's what that's going to do is if they decide to put houses, and I know no one's saying that, if they decide to put houses in those lots, it's going to sort of push those houses closer to a my house and be a urban neighbor's house on the side. Plus affect the people who are directly across the street and what they look over and see. So those are the same issues we had as before. We'll change the layout of the neighborhood and it will have some effect on our values. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so. That said, we have the 3 resolutions in front of us. Have a motion to accept them, where they are drafted, presented to us.
So I make a motion to accept resolutions as.
You want to ask the applicant's attorney if he's had an opportunity to review these and if he has any concerns with any.
Have you had? Go ahead, Jared.
That's it. This is Jared Hurd. I've had an opportunity to review them. I do not have any concerns at this time.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolutions. Given.
Second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Brisbane.
Aye. Aye. York?
It's fine. Jody Bennett. Aye. Conley.
The resolution is passed. The meeting has been continued.
Thank you.
We'll open the next public hearing. Like to have a motion to block them
I'll make a
together
motion
because
to
of this,
block
the same applicant.
3 resolutions.
So we'll block all the applications together. Yep. All in favor? Anyone object to that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right, we will block them. This will be for ZB 0302-24, Evans Van Epps, CO Brickwood Management, 25 Silverlight Way, Rochester. And then we'll do ZB 0302-24 through 0307-24. He's here to speak on behalf of those.
I think we're supposed to have, Matt Tomlinson of Marathon Engineering. I'm not sure if we got him or not.
Yeah, I don't see him on.
You are, sir?
I am, Brendan Wade, I'm representing Conifer Realty. But I'm not seeing Evan or Matt.
So I can give the update. I have talked to both Matt and Evan. With Conifer here, I can inform the board about what's going on so that you can make your decisions on this. There's a bunch of, obviously, as you can see, all the different ZBA numbers that we're calling out for different variances here. What the applicant is trying to do, and you have two applicants, you have Conifer as one of them, and then you have Brickwood Management is the other one. Conifer right now owns all the property out where Pintail Crossing is, and which is currently on Quintonshire. And the request is to, if this goes through, we're going to change everything to Pintail Crossing. The subdivision is to divide the current buildings out there, the apartment complex, to the other part where phase 2 of Conifer was going to be, but didn't get funding. So Brickwood Management has gone into an agreement with them and to finish this project with townhomes that would go into Running Brook. So that would fit the characteristics of the neighborhood to keep the flow correctly. But by doing that, they had two options. They could go with a private road through there, which would cause no variances. The town has requested them to make this a public road due to infrastructure issues with the Wood Drive Bridge as you come out of Farmbrook. We are well aware that bridge needs to, in the near future, be totally replaced. So we've asked for this road to be a public road, which has now created the need for variances because we don't meet the setbacks from a public road. So we've worked with the applicant, as we do with every applicant, trying to get the minimum amount of variances. The first application that came to us had, I think, 14 or 15. I think we got it down to 6. So again, this is going to follow the same process that you just did with the other subdivision. So we're looking for the planning board to be lead agency. And then a continuation to let them give you a recommendation back and allow them to complete seeker. I'll let Ron jump in at this point to.
Yeah, Conifer or Pintail Crossing LLC is willing to have the road converted from a private drive on their property to a public road, provided that they have some variances granted to them so that those structures are not going to become non-conforming. And so that in the future, should they find somebody that wants to buy the property, they're not creating a quagmire, if you will, for that transaction to go through. The town board feels that it's important to have a public road there as opposed to a private road for two reasons. One is maintenance, snow removal, things of this nature for school buses, also for fire access, keeping it open, maintaining it. And then the other part of this process is a site plan for a 20-unit townhome project that Brookwood is going to be providing in the future. They need a variance to allow a setback just because of the width of the right of way for a public road versus a private road. So we have those coming before you. As Dan said, this is exactly like the previous application. It's an unlisted action. It involves approvals from two boards, the planning board and the zoning board of appeals. A coordinated review has been requested by the planning board, as they did with the previous one. And you have those three resolutions, which are almost identical, except for the name to protect the innocent, as they used to say on Dragnet. To move this thing along to the planning board and to have them address seekers, so you can then act on the variances being requested. So hopefully that provides enough detail to move this thing along tonight and get it into the planning board's arena and then back to you, at which time you'll have I'm sure, a formal presentation. I think Matt was a little confused. If I may have done a good job of confusing him by him saying, do I have to be at the planning board meeting? And I said, no, it's just going to be pro forma. You've already been there. You've introduced the subject to the planning board. Seeker has been started by then. It's a process that, and he must have interpreted that to mean he didn't have to be here tonight. But
I know that Ron and I both did talk to the engineer on record. He had reviewed our resolutions and agreed with them, but you do have one of the applicants here. So you can verify that with them, and then you can go from there.
You're part of the
No comments for me.
you understand what we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
I do have one question. So for ZB 0303-24, the 2 feet setback from the existing building number 8, is that gonna be enough for snow removal? Cause I drove over there and the apartments, like their door is like there. So-
At this point, it has been.
Okay,
Obviously, it's being privately maintained.
yeah,
Our highway superintendent has gone over and looked at those issues. And he says it's a little tighter than like he likes, but
yeah,
it's definitely a doable situation.
okay, that'd be my concern, that you're not allowing snow.
they only aim for mailbox.
Only, yeah, only.
Front doors we leave alone.
One of the things he said, because this is a little bit of a narrower road, he would have to do it with one of his smaller trucks, but
Okay,
he's aware of that situation.
okay, I just want to, I'm sure you guys have thought about
The other thing that's involved here is a site plan for those townhome projects, and that will continue the streetlight and sidewalks up to the intersection of Red Fern and Running Brook, which will eventually go out to 41 and 332 once the Whitestone Center zoning project gets underway next door. So it does open up some sidewalks as you Now, putting sidewalks through Running Brook is gonna be a very difficult task, given the setbacks that are there. That was done before sidewalks were thought of, I suppose.
I think Jody had the one I had. I was concerned about the 2 foot, I think.
And when this comes back, you will have a formal presentation that will go over each of the variances in detail.
Make a motion to accept the 3 resolution as is.
Second.
I'll second.
Jody.
To block them.
Yes, they're blocked. Yes. Okay. Block all the variances with the resolutions. We will call vote.
Melissa.
Aye.
Tom White.
Aye.
Jody Phillips.
Aye.
Tom George.
Other board matters. Yeah. Development update?
The only thing I have to update is, we're still waiting on the state DOT to give us the go-ahead from Albany to award the contract to sidewalk projects. These spring holiday recesses screws everybody's schedule up. But they're working to get that done, and hopefully we'll be underway next month with that project. The other thing is that Dan and I met with, and Paula met with the Ag Advisory Committee last Thursday evening and introduced a new draft local law that does have different setbacks for porches and decks. They're not uniform because the districts aren't uniform. The front setbacks in 2 of the districts are greater than in 2 of the districts. And to have a setback the same would result in a really large front porch. It would be massive in size, about 20, 25 feet wide by. So we had to separate them out. But so far, the only districts that we've had any front setback issues on has been the R 7.2 and the R 110. So we don't think that that's an issue. Now, having said that, all of this is together in a draft local law for the sake of governmental efficiency, quote unquote. That means that if the Ag Advisory Committee isn't ready within the next couple of months to move forward with those regulations for farmland protection, that we're going to pull it out and just deal with the changes to the town code that you've asked for and that we've discovered no longer are subject to town approval, such as the outdoor wood boilers that DEC has taken over control of. So there's definitions in there. There's a whole list of things we're proposing to change the designation of the A-80 agricultural district to an RA-80 rural agricultural district. To be more consistent with the rural residential district, with the suburban residential, all of those classifications. That A-80 district was created, the best we can find, back in 1965, and after all these years, it's time to come up to the 21st century and have a slight change that reflects the area. we're waiting. The next meeting of the Ag Advisory Committee is the 18th of April, I believe it is. And we'll know more then as to whether they stay in or we pull them out and go on about our business with the other changes that we discovered need to be made. There's other things in the code that were never caught, such as things that have now been replaced by the state MS4 program, the stormwater program. Those schedules that are in there no longer are any good. So, you know, those are the things that we're working on along with other projects. The town board next Tuesday night will have their public hearing on the Whitestone incentive rezoning. We'll see where that goes. There's some division in the town board right now.
Was that the water park?
Yeah, it was the old water park property back in 2007, just before the
Crunch.
yeah, the free fall, I heard. A different pandemic, if you will.
Yeah.
And funding became impossible and they went away. So that land is identified in the comprehensive plan as needing to be addressed because it was no longer viable for the uses that were allowed. Nobody's building a water park these days. And as a result, we recommended that whatever goes in there should be comprehensive. It should be a total project, not piecemeal. And that's what we've been given. So we'll just see where it goes.
Reclassification of the Ag 80 into that, is that change the way it's gonna modernize how it is, or just the name change?
No, the name change is only for the district designation.
Yeah.
Okay. The overlay district, the Ag Protection Overlay District is what is going to change. And the premise of that overlay district is that the only legitimate resource that the town needs to protect are those viable agricultural soils. These regulations aren't going to do a thing to fund farming. They're going to do a thing to make it profitable. But it is going to help preserve what is necessary to sustain that. And that's those resources that we cannot renew. And to do that, we have created a hybrid with guidelines for reviewing applications for residential development or other development when they reach the third lot. So in other words, you got an existing parcel, you want to subdivide it, okay, subdivide it. The next one triggers cluster provisions of town law, where the planning board, working in concert with the Ag Advisory Committee, will follow the guidelines and try to relocate those properties, those residential sites, away from the prime and unique soils that are used by the landowners, whether they're farming, they're farmers or renting to farmers, that are used in calculating the ag exemptions that they get. So you start touching those 1 and 2 and 3 class soils, the higher class soils, you affect your exemption. And the irony of all this is that you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. If you don't preserve those, you're not going to get the exemptions that you've been accustomed to. And then the people are not going to want to continue to lease the land to farmers for the rates that they've been charging, because they're going to have to up their rates to pay for the taxes. So it's a catch-22, and it's something that we think is unique. We've done a lot of research across the state. Nobody else had approached this way. Of course, nobody else has approached how we're dealing with solar farms either. And that seems to be quite successful. Knock on wood. So we'll see where it all goes.
All right, there's been a few changes since the last time you guys were here. I know on the agenda it says open clerk board position. That's no longer true. Paula has been appointed to as your permanent clerk, so congratulations to her on that. With that being said, Sarah Michelle obviously is no longer your clerk, but she also has left the town. She is now employed over in the town of Gorham, so a lot of the prep work that she did for you guys beforehand, we're filling in right now. We have hired somebody. She does start on April 9th, which will hopefully make things better. But I need you guys to let me know if you're not getting something from us or something's missing. We're trying our best right now to provide you all the information, but Paula being new, about getting things set up right before the meeting, myself being more involved with the paperwork side of everything. Ron and I have, we're getting there, and Carol in my office right now is helping out with it as well. But again, I just need your support. If there's something missing, you're not seeing something. We are still trying to do digitally the files too as well to you guys. So that's still an option, but we're working through all that, and I'm hoping to have those bumps out here within a month or so. So I do appreciate your working with me on this until we can get it straightened out. The next thing is your next board meeting is just like tonight's meeting, because you just continued everything to next month. No other applications have come in, so you'll just see the same thing, but next one will be a full presentation. I know at least from Coniford and Pintail on those, you'll get the full presentation. And you'll probably have a house full of people on the Fowler side of the house, so. Should be an interesting meeting and probably definitely not as short as this one tonight.
Good.
But that's okay because Caitlin Clark starts at 8 o'clock tonight. Some of us have to be there.
Any other public comments? No. Yes, we could have a motion. Motion to adjourn. Second. Second. Tom, all in favor? It's adjourned.